So settling into your centering. Any variation of child's pose or prone shavasana. And then taking a moment to set things up in your body to feel just a little bit more relaxation. A lengthened inhale. If it feels right, go ahead, open mouth sigh on the exhale. Notice if that can just get a little bit more softness across the upper back and shoulders, neck, back of the skull. One benefit to centering in child's pose is you automatically have that biofeedback of the belly pressing against the inner thighs on the inhales. So you can right away start to tune into that sensation of lengthening the inhale, filling up the lungs from the top all the way down to the bottom, letting the chest expand, side ribs open, belly expand. And then on the exhale, everything deflates. The belly comes away from the legs, the side ribs knit back together, collarbones soften and lower. Each inhale flowing into each exhale. Each exhale softening and flowing into the next inhale. As we move through class today, your anchor can be that breath, inhales and exhales flowing. Or it may be better for you to use an anchor for your mind that would be the color violet. Perhaps even imagining color violet right between the eyebrows, maybe even shaping it as a gem shape right between the eyebrows. And any time that the mind would want to pull away to any distractions, it gently gets nudged back to focus on that anchor, either the gem between the third eye, between the eyebrows, or your breath, or an affirmation such as, I am wise, I trust my wisdom, I trust my intuition. I am able to calm my system Taking a lengthened inhale. Open mouth sigh on the exhale. Let a little softness come to the jaw and tongue. Do that one more time. Lengthen inhale. Extended exhale with open mouth. And then now on your inhale, gently, slowly start to walk the hands back. So really taking your time. Move slowly. You're going to come all the way up into a seated position. Finding your way in carefully. Lifting your head slowly so that all of the soft tissues in the nervous system have time to reset. And then any comfortable seated position that works for you. Could be legs in front, could be seated on something. We're going to do a guided mindfulness practice that focuses on that third eye. And if you would like to do the mudra with this, I'll offer the Gaian mudra, which is wisdom. And it's that one that we tend to see a lot of photos of that's very culturally appropriated, but it absolutely does apply to the third eye. So backs of the hands open on the tops of the knees, index and thumbs touching. And then either resting your gaze on something in front of you or closing your eyes if it's comfortable. Again, coming back to your anchor, it's your breath, noticing how easy it is for you to reestablish that lengthened inhale and exhale that you had during center. Then whether you did it earlier or not, now start to imagine that violet colored gem as a gemstone that's placed right at the third eye. So between the eyebrows, as if it's shining internally and externally. Then associating with that gemstone all that you know that is truth, your wisdom, your pure intuition, your source of guidance and decision-making that never fails you. Even if we're not conditioned to trust it, knowing that it's there, trusting that it's there, and bringing that to mind. Maybe start to let that gemstone gently and very slowly start to pivot in place. And maybe that shine, the sparkle, the glow starts to rotate internally and externally. Pivoting in all directions. And then take your attention and move it back towards the brain, maybe even into midbrain. And then just imagine that that area is all of the thoughts, either that you're holding right now, that you experience through the day. Maybe it feels like a chaotic swirl. Maybe it feels foggy, lethargic, doesn't matter. Just noticing. And that space becomes a pool of water. So either with waves crashing as the thoughts swirl, or maybe it's just a still, dark, quiet pool of water with fog kind of hanging over it. And you're going to take that gem And in your imagination, you're going to gently and slowly move that gem into the pool of water. As it drops in carefully, it makes those ripples up to the edges. It floats down slowly to the bottom, where it settles and continues to shine just as brightly. Continues to sparkle even through all of the chaos or all of the fog. Notice what happens when you focus all of your attention on that gem that is your true wisdom, your truth, your intuition, your guidance. All of the other thoughts that maybe seemed so critical and urgent really don't matter. And they can settle down just for the next few minutes. Using any of those options as your anchor, we're going to take a length. On an exhale, you allow the fingertips to open and start to wiggle as you lower the chin towards the chest on the exhale. Shrug the shoulders, roll them forward and back a few times each direction. Some seated cat-cows just to roll out what was being held for so long. And then from your seated position, we're going to go into a few variations of cow face. So the cow face Gomukhasana, which I guess technically isn't cow face, shouldn't have even gone there, but you're going to bring that right leg, tuck the right heel towards the left hip. And then the left leg is either going to hang out right where it is. You can extend that left leg long and pull the right foot on top of that thigh. Or if it's available in your hips, you're going to cross the left foot over to the right side or all the way over to the hip. So moving into any variation of Gomukhasana legs. If you start with both legs bent and it's not a fit for you, go ahead and extend one of them long. Reaching the arms out wide like wings. And then crossing in front of you, you're going to this time bring the right on top of the left to make that X. And then either opposite hands to the shoulders and give yourself a hug. Maybe even would feel good, since you're in the position, to give yourself a tiny bit of a shoulder massage. And take an inhale, lift the sternum towards the elbows. Pull the bottom front ribs down and in. And then as you exhale, start to hinge forward, maybe lowering the elbows towards that top knee. Letting the chin tuck towards the chest. If you have a space, or perhaps you could rest any sort of prop so that you can support that forehead and all the small muscles of the neck aren't just hanging. The other purpose that a prop can serve is that then you're resting the forehead right at the third eye, right on the prop, which can help to activate the energy of the third eye. Now, if you are interested in Staying with the arms as well as the legs. You're going to hang out there. If you would like to release the arms and feel like perhaps there's a little bit more space to fold forward, that's also an option, but just be aware of what you're asking of your hips and for how much sensation they need to be taking in. The inhale lifts the head, again moving slowly all the way up to seated. Now, regardless of one-legged, two-legged, that part doesn't matter. What we're going to all move into is releasing that right leg long, so the right leg extends out, and then the left foot is either going to be on the inside or outside of the right leg, crossed over or not crossed over. So coming into Lord of the Fishes twists. I'm going to take an inhale, extend the right leg, right arm long, and then start to move the right shoulder towards the left knee, looking over the left shoulder. Once you have that established and you feel like you're in the amount of twist that's helpful for you now, continue to breathe, noticing the breath moving again against the thigh as the belly expands and releases. And taking lengthen inhale to prepare. Your exhale will untwist all of that. If the left foot is on the outside, you go ahead and move it now to the inside and let that knee fall open. Right leg stays extended. And we're going to take an inhale, lift the arms, gaze up towards the fingertips, and then as you exhale, start to hinge over that lengthened leg. Now you can set up any number of props, any style that works for you on top of that leg, so that as you come forward, you can perhaps start to lower the chest to that prop and or the third eye resting again, being activated on a prop. Inhale to open. Move any of the props off this leg. Gently lift yourself up. And then we're going to move both feet to the floor and knees up to the ceiling. Bring the weight into your hands behind you and then just rotate by the legs. Notice sensation of letting the blood flow back in through any of the hips, knees, any of those joints that were constricted. Even lengthening the legs and doing the same thing, ankles side to side. Anything that feels good for you. Then, and then just repeat everything opposite. So this time left leg stays extended. You're going to bring the right knee out to the right side and the foot comes along inner thigh. You can stack your props right away if you know where you're going. Otherwise, you're going to inhale, reach the arms. And then exhale, start to hinge forward over the lengthened left leg. See how it feels first. And then notice if you need any supports for the torso or the head on this side. And then back to your anchor and settle in. Take the lengthened inhale. Put yourself back up slowly, slowly, slowly. And then you're going to keep that right knee bent, bring it up, either inside or outside, and we'll just do a couple minutes again of the twist. So lengthening spine, lengthening the sternum, open up the wing, and then exhale, pull it across, and then holding the twist in a way that feels like you're getting some opening without forcing. Your attention back to your anchor, and maybe in particular noticing the breath as it moves against the thigh. Inhale to prepare. And then your exhale is what unwinds it. And then, if you're going to have both knees bent, you're going to keep that right leg where it is. Start to tuck that left heel towards the right hip. And then foot can either stay like so or cross it over. Or if on this side, and notice that both sides are not always going to feel the same. If on this side that's not a good fit for you, then instead go ahead and extend the left leg long and cross the right ankle over the left knee. Lengthening out the wings, open up the chest, extend out on an inhale, and then as you exhale, crossing over, this time you've got left over right and giving it a hug. Noticing if it feels good to do that bit of a shoulder massage on this side. And then again on this side, if you want to keep the arms, you're going to hang out where you are. Otherwise, you have the option to go ahead and release it all. Either stack props on top of the leg or go ahead, hold yourself as much as is comfortable on this side. Possibly imagining the torso as if it's cascading and melting over the legs. like it. I will initiate the movement. Slowly lift the torso up. Props. Releasing both legs, go to windshield wiper, roll the ankles, anything that feels good on this side now. The blood flow back through all the joints. And then, again, any comfortable seated position, possibly up on a prop this time, since we've had quite a few minutes on the floor. You don't have to, but it's an option. I'm going to keep my legs somewhat extended just because they've been bent a lot. You can do whatever's comfortable for you. I'm going to start to rub the hands together in between the fingers, outside of the pinky, outside of the thumb. So the fingers as vigorously as is comfortable for you to start to build some heat in the palms. Take a lengthened inhale through the nose. And then on an exhale, gently lower the hands, place them right on the eye socket so that the pinkies touch the third eye. And feel the warmth melt into the eye sockets, cheekbones, the forehead. Keep the breath flowing. And another activator for the third eye is to do exercises of our physical eyes. So with the eye sockets covered, bringing both eyeballs as if they're going to look all the way over to the right. Both eyes looking up to the ceiling, even though the eyes are closed. Both eyes all the way over to the left. And then looking down to the ground without moving the head. This time taking both eyes over to the left, up to the ceiling, to the right, and then down to the ground without moving. Full inhale through the nose. Open mouth exhale as you let the fingers drape and slide down across the face, the jawline, and away from the face. Before you move, feel the sensation of the residual warmth on your face. Thank you. Second, we're going to move to our knees. Rabbit pose is one of the poses that tends to be portrayed as very helpful for third eye. I'm going to offer it, know that it's not the only option that we have to take for this, and really a great substitution is child's pose. But rabbit pose, you're going to set up the legs together, toes tucked into the floor, heels lifted. And then you're going to inhale to lift the sternum. Exhale, you're going to tuck the chin, start to lower the top of the head towards the floor, reaching the hands back either to or towards the feet. So top of the head is resting on the floor, and you're going to start to pull the forehead towards the knees as much as is possible. It doesn't tend to be, for me, the rabbit pose doesn't tend to feel overly restorative if I hold it for a long time. If you want to start with it and then move into child's pose for the rest of it, that would be a really great variation. And then either from rabbit or from child's pose, we're just going to now make our way all the way down onto our belly. Whatever way makes sense for you. Sliding yourself forward or pulling your legs out first. All the way down, flat. And then from there, you can set up props as feels best for you. My suggestion is going to start to be layering the hands, elbows out to the sides, and then coming into what is called crocodile pose. So the forehead comes to the knuckles of the top hand. As if you're playing crocodile, and then toes are tucked into the floor or the mat with the heels lifted. And then just for maybe 3, 4, 5 rounds of breath, you're going to pull the heels back towards the wall behind you. Maybe so much that you can float the tops of the thighs away from the floor or the knees up off the floor. And if that's the case, do you notice any different sensation in the low back? And then eventually releasing any tension out of the legs, letting the feet just slowly melt down. Tops of the feet to the floor. And then focusing your attention again right at that third eye. And imagine that gemstone shining brightly internally and externally. Take a different approach into a twist from this prone position. So we're going to, on an inhale, just gently float the head ever so slightly. You're going to slide that left arm underneath your right armpit until you can kind of bring that shoulder down, the left shoulder down a little bit. And then help yourself over onto the left side body. Letting the head come back and down, knees up into almost a fetal position, and then let the right arm open up back behind you. You may want to have a prop already set up so that as your arm reaches back behind you, it doesn't have to try and go all the way to the floor. And instead, it's supported, bringing the floor up. And then gaze towards the ceiling or eyes closed with the face towards the ceiling. Carefully bringing the right arm back to the hip or side body on an inhale. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So essentially it's rolling back to the belly so that we can get a similar effect on the other side for the twist. So pulling that left arm back up, Sliding the right arm underneath the left armpit. Pulling it over until you land on the shoulder, getting that side body into fetal position to start with the knees bent. You want that prop back behind you, getting that set up. And then letting the left arm open up back behind you, face up towards the ceiling. Making your way into your final resting pose. So if you would like to do the conventional supine shavasana, you're just rolling all the way to the back, extending the legs long, arms supported on the ground or on props. If you would like to use props in any other way or do any type of seated or other position for your resting pose, go ahead and make your way there. Gently coming back to your anchor. Allowing the body, mind, the emotions, and the energy to all integrate. Last hour, what you've given. And small movements to the fingers and toes, deepening the breath. Letting those wiggles to the ankles and wrists, elbows and knees, shoulders and hips. And then if it feels good, a long full body stretch, fingertips over the head, toes pointing away from you. Then on an exhale, either rolling over to one side or rolling up, making your way into a comfortable seated position that works for you. Coming back into Dayan Mudra, if you choose, or any comfortable hand position that can allow you to open the chest, let the heart shine through. And then again, bring your attention back to that gemstone at your back, shining internally and externally. Bring in a moment of gratitude for the ancients of India that generously shared this practice so we could benefit today. Taking an inhale, exhale to lower the chin. Om Shanti, peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.